Hello, everyone, and welcome to this pre-recorded preview of Boston Albany. And today I am joined by Michael. Here we are.
Hello.
How are we doing? How are we doing?
I'm good. Hi. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So, what we're going to do is we're going to run this scenario. This is Berkshire Part 1, I
Hmm.
think, isn't it called? I'll just go through some of the bits. This is Berkshire, the Boston, the only midday passenger service between Albany, New York, and Boston. Semi Express making a limited number of stops along this route. So that's sort of the start of the scenario. And we've got a schedule to keep as well, and we must make sure and avoid speeding penalties, maintain the speed about 5 mile an hour below the track speed. Hopefully, I'll do that. And yellow signal reduce your speed to a maximum of 30. So I've got to keep an eye on my signals.
Yeah, but you won't get penalized if you miss the signal aspects.
Okay, that's good.
You, basically, for the speed, you only have to look at the HUD.
That's fine. Oh, thank goodness. Oh dear. As people know, I'm not very good at keeping my points. So there we go. Right, let's get started. Michael, tell me a bit about yourself, a bit about the route as well, and how the route sort of has come into being.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm Michael. I've been train simming for a few years. Started in MSTS, as many of us did, and um, yeah, the Boston Albany, our latest project. It was spearheaded by Rick Grout, who many you know under G-Track simulations. We've had a big team. Uh, we were joined by Gary Dolzal, Jim Friedland, Wayne Campbell, Mike Rennie, Cesar Pach, and Fernando Martins. And together we built the 100 miles of Boston and Albany mainline road between Springfield, Massachusetts, and Boston. Um, it's set in the 1960s, give or take a few years. Um, and it's, I think, the very first road that that includes the mighty and famous New York Central Railroad, which operated it
Oh,
for
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
most of the road's existence.
Brilliant.
Yep,
Yeah.
get some air in the cab.
Yeah, I'll get some air in the cab now. I didn't realise I needed to release the brakes there on the independent brake, but it's fine. We've got going, and that's the main thing. We're off. So, brilliant. And what loco are we looking at here?
Yep, this is the mighty Alco PA, arguably one of the most beautiful passenger locomotives in American history. At least I think so. Also one of the smokiest ones, as you can see.
Yeah.
It's a railfan favorite, and we're very happy that we can finally introduce it to Train Simulator.
Brilliant. Yeah. Yeah. No, it does look a very nice locomotive. And how long have you been working on the project as well? As a group, have you
Mhm.
all come in at certain times, or is it?
Yeah, pretty much. We've worked on it simultaneously most of the time, and we started well over a year ago. So let's say 15, 18 months, something like that.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. So it's arriving at Springfield Union at by 13:16. So running a little bit behind, but we'll be okay. We'll manage. So what we do? Where are we here? So where are you going?
Mhm. We're just passing West Springfield Yard. This is pretty much the midway point of the Boston and Albany route. Behind us, it goes up the hill, not part of the route, but in reality, to Albany across the Berkshires. And ahead of us is the Connecticut River, and on the other side is the city of Springfield.
Ah, okay.
This part is probably familiar to those who own the Springfield Line route DLC. It's the same yard, just set in a slightly different year. We're a few years ahead now, so you'll
Right.
notice a few differences in the city if you're familiar with it, both versions. Um, uh, there's the roundhouse roundhouses are missing. A beautiful highway bridge has been built through downtown, demolishing some buildings, some parts of the railroad.
Yeah, yeah. There we go. It's a lovely cab as well. Around the cab for the wheel. Go. So got down to 25. Braking.
You can also bail off the independent brake if you want. Just push the handle down.
Okay, down to 25. There we go. Make sure I don't speed.
Yeah, this is West Springfield, the smaller part of Springfield. Now we're crossing the Connecticut River.
Brilliant. It looks like there's someone waiting there with looks like they're doing sleeper replacement as well there.
Some track work's going on, yeah.
Viaduct there. Lovely seeing the water reflect, look at that. So what made you interested in American railroads? What's your... Yeah.
Yeah, that started when I was a kid. My uncle gave me a book for Christmas many, many years ago about American locomotives, and I was immediately hooked. I've been a rail fan forever, and this got me interested in American railroads. Everything's just bigger, more interesting. We don't have mile-long trains in Europe.
Yeah, they're quite interesting to watch.
Yeah, now we're coming into Springfield Union Station. This station was shared by 3 railroad companies, our New York Central / Boston and Albany, which is passing straight through. To the right of us, we have the trackage of the New Haven Railroad, and the main line that goes down to New Haven and on to New York. And to the left of us is the Boston and Maine, which goes on to Holyoke, Greenfield, and onwards. The Boston and Albany essentially splits Massachusetts into a territory of the New Haven Railroad and the Boston and Maine Railroad, with the B&A in the middle.
Okay. So we're braking on while we now stop on the platform. Passengers on.
Yep, there we have a train of the New Haven.
So look at these. You can have a look in here. Look, you got full of mail and milk. I should think in there. Oh, I didn't actually get on the platform. Oops. That's all right. They'll have to walk.
Well, the B&A was a low-platform railroad anyway, so it's not that much of a difference.
Oh dear. Lovely bombs, look at that. But as soon as signal permits, we're due to arrive there about 13:36. So we haven't got the... Oh, I think we have got the signal now. Okay.
Yep, it's the little one, the little guy down below. These are just normal signals, they're just smaller, but they show the same aspects as the big ones. So a single green on a dwarf, that's a slow clear, so we have to pass the junction at 15 or slower.
Okay.
And once we're clear, we can go up to track speed.
I'll make sure I don't speed on that then. Yeah, it's quite interesting because, as you say, you've got 2 railroad companies in one sort of station, which is quite interesting as well.
Yeah, those big plumes of exhaust smoke, they're a bit of a trademark of Elco locomotives.
Yeah,
And we hope we've captured that this interesting effect in the game.
yeah. It's a very scenic route as well, by the looks of it. There's a lot of like interesting buildings and bits and pieces.
It has a bit of everything. There's big cities, there's small towns, there's branch lines,
Yeah,
there's multi-track main line running, lots and lots of industries, big yards, small yards, very rural parts with trees and fields, and yeah, it's a nice mix.
so what did you work on the route yourself? What have you been doing on the route
hmm
itself?
I mainly did the track placement, the signaling, and some scenery work around Worcester, the suburbs of Boston, and a bit of Springfield.
Oh wow, brilliant. So, what would you say is like your favourite part of working on the
hmm
on the route itself? You know.
Hmm. To be honest, I've pretty much enjoyed everything of it. It was just such a diverse thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. It's that's the thing. It's difficult to pinpoint what you enjoy doing because there's always different things that you enjoy doing on it yourself. You know.
hmm Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. But no, and I think it's a quite. By the sounds of things, it's quite a busy route as well.
Oh yeah, it is. Um, the busiest timetable we found that was from the late 40s or early 50s, I think. There were something like 20, 25 passenger trains daily,
Wow,
up and down between Springfield and Boston.
that's fantastic.
So yeah, if you go back in time a little bit, you can have a very busy line.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And is this one of your like favourite railroad companies, or is it one that you prefer as well? Like you know, in your
Hmm.
interest?
Yeah, it's a very fascinating part of American railroad history. The whole New England states,
Yeah,
and I'm a bit of a fan of the New Haven myself. So,
yeah,
which is also included in this route in several locations. We meet the New Haven in Springfield, in Worcester, in Boston.
yeah.
So
Sorry,
yeah.
that was something dropping down. Ignore that. Sorry. Yeah. Well, it's a lovely livery as well. It's
Oh
got
yeah.
very long. It's quite interesting because it's a very long shaped nose as well, isn't it?
Yeah, the lightning stripes livery is, I think, one of the biggest classics of the American railroads.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. What would you say was one of your challenges in the route as well? What would you say was one of your like in building? Was there anything that you didn't quite expect? You know?
Hmm. Well, one thing was definitely the sheer size of it.
Yeah.
We underestimated just how much work it would be. We had done 100-mile route before, but
Yeah.
not with that much cities and intensive stuff going on. And the whole area of Boston, which we'll get to later, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, just building a city of that size was a surprise. Let's put it like this.
Yes. Yeah. Of course.
It posed some new challenges too, like to keep performance under control without sacrificing too much of the visuals, and so yeah, there were
Yeah.
some surprises along the way.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I suppose with every different route, because I mean, how many routes have you done in the past? Is that something that you hello, keeping on with speed? Um, you know, is this one of your first major ones, or have you done quite a few in the past?
I've been doing a few before. I think all of us in the team have been around for a few years, so yeah, we've been able to pool our resources and experiences
Yeah.
into this, which helped a lot.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
So we've climbed outside of up the hill behind Springfield.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a, I think it's a 1.2% incline east of Springfield, which is especially challenging if you come into Springfield going west. Um, you're doing 60 miles coming down the hill. The station is, let's say, half a mile ahead of you, and you apply the brakes, and nothing is happening because you're going downhill at insane speed.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just turn your thing up a little bit, so. Go.
If you zoom out a little at this point, above the trees, we can see the East Springfield suburban and industrial area. There's quite a bit of there's quite a few suburbs around here, industries big and small.
Yeah.
Springfield is also home to quite a few weapons manufacturing companies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So one of them is rail served and accessible by our company. I think it's Smith & Wesson, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. What I'll do is as well, I'll remove it. I remembered and I've forgotten. I will remove the cameras so we can see more of the routes. Yes, I forgot about that. Oh dear.
So now we're disembodied voices.
Yeah. Yeah. Here we go. Let's put some more power down.
Yeah, most of the line is pretty fast. In a passenger train, you're doing 60 or 65 most of the time.
Yes, I've known. Yeah.
There are not a lot of very sharp curves. I think basically outside of the cities, you'll be doing more than 50 most of the time.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little racetrack. It's double tracked throughout, or triple or quadruple tracked in around Springfield and Boston.
Yeah, yeah.
So yep, you can have some nice races around here.
See another locomotive.
Train.
Yeah. Some box vans. We're coming through Oak Street.
Yep, still in Greater Springfield. North of us is a pretty substantial industrial branch line, the Ethel branch, which has several medium-sized or even bigger industries that you can serve. There is a gigantic textile mill served by another branch line. In reality, they had their own little plant switcher there, but
Yeah.
of course in Train Simulator we can do it all by ourselves.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah, yeah. And what I'll do is I will now show the map, so we can have a look. Oh wow, yeah, yeah. It is wow. It's quite an expansive. Yeah, I see what you mean by different areas. It's you've got different branch lines and sort of different areas for people to go into. Do you know how many different branch lines and sections you have which you can use?
3, 4.
Wow.
I haven't counted them, but there are at least 3, 4. Yeah.
And that's including the sort of trunk route as well, the sort of the main line. Yeah.
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 Some of it is just there to run AI trains off into the distance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, most of what you see is player drivable. The main line is 98 miles long from end to end.
Wow. Cruising along here nicely now. And make sure that the weather was nice as well. There we go. And how many different locomotives do you get with the pack as well?
There are 4 locomotives. The one we're riding in right now, the Elco PA. This is the main passenger locomotive, especially for the long distance fast trains. Then we have the freight sister of the PA, which is the Elco FA. This has been released before in a few other DLC, and now it's in New York Central livery. This is the main freight hauler for mainline freights. Then we have the Elco RS3, which is sort of the multi-purpose unit. It can do, or it was frequently used even for local passenger trains and commuter trains.
Yeah.
But it also did local freight or easy local switching runs to the branch lines and things like that.
Oh, brilliant.
And then we have as a fourth candidate the Alco HH600, which was one of the very first commercially successful diesel locomotives in America. It's from the 1940s.
Yeah.
It's the little black critter, and it's also the only locomotive in the pack that has a Boston and Albany livery instead of New York Central. And this is purely a switching locomotive.
I've just realised I'm speeding. There we go.
Who needs points when you can just run around the scenery?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get nice and nice with my shots, and then there you go. Fine. Carry on.
Yeah, no, that was it.
Oh, that was it. No, that's
four
fine.
locomotives.
Yep.
No,
brilliant.
Yeah, we have I think a decently sized fleet of passenger and freight equipment that ships with around. We have heavyweight and lightweight passenger cars.
Yeah.
We have some equipment also in the deliveries of the New Haven, Pennsylvania railroads. That was thankfully possible with the licensing agreement.
Yeah.
We have the usual assortment of freight cars, box cars, gondolas, hoppers, tank cars, and so on.
Yeah. No, that's really good, and you have with it. As you see, you can see by the rolling stock, it's not just like a couple of box cars and one set of passenger cars, as you said. You've got different sets for different versions of trains and sets, etc. You know. Yeah. So we're now climbing quite a steep bank here, aren't we?
Yeah, that's a little hill ahead of Palmer. First it goes up, then it goes down again.
Yeah. Is it quite a difficult? Will players find it difficult to drive the route? Is it quite find it quite an interesting route to drive? Is it very, as you say, up and down, or is there flat sections?
It's operationally, it's generally pretty flat.
Yeah.
The steepest hill is Charlton Hill, but it's generally not more than 1% climb and drop.
Yeah.
So the challenges come mainly from the high speeds.
Yeah.
And from the wonderful scripted brakes from Smokebox, My Granny, which, especially on long heavy freights, make things a bit more interesting.
Yes, yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, we're now 2.6 miles away from Palmer, and I'm going to stop there. It also blends into the scenery, the livery, almost as well.
Yeah, the scenery you're seeing now is pretty representative of what you'll experience for most of the way outside the cities. This road is very green, lots and lots of forests. Later on we'll run along a river, which is another quite frequent feature. You'll encounter lakes, rivers, some swamps and marshes. But yeah, there's not a lot of open farmland around here. It's just this very lush green rolling landscape all around.
Yes, yeah. So it's very different because there's quite a few. I mean, it seems like with a lot of American routes, depending on what side of the country you are, depends on the scenery you get. It's quite interesting. Go, put some more brakes on.
Yep, we're coming into Palmer, which is one of the many small towns, all pretty scenic places. There are quite a few of them, so if you like frequently stopping commuter trains or local passenger trains, you can do quite a few stops here along the route. At Palmer, we're crossing the Central Vermont Railway.
All right. Okay.
This is the line we're crossing at the Diamond crossing. That is 0.354 miles, something like that, ahead of us.
Oh wow! So there's actually a diamond crossing. That's fantastic. Did you build the diamond crossing yourself? Was that one of the difficult bits you had to do, or?
You mean did we build some special assets for it, or was
Yeah, yeah. Did you? Yeah. Was it difficult to build a diamond crossing because they're quite complex things, aren't they? Some of the diamond crossings.
Oh, yeah, the signaling is always a bit of a challenge, but I think it went all right. So far, we haven't had any trouble. Yeah, we're coming into Palmer here. This is one of the first semaphore signals we're encountering outside of Springfield. This route has a nice mix of semaphore and searchlight signals. Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting station, isn't it? How it's set.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got the diamond coming across like that, and I've basically really stopped. It's okay.
Well, stop before the crossing. Look left. Look right.
Yes.
Make some smoke.
Yep. There we go. Make sure I actually get the passengers on the platform this time. Nearly there. There we go. We'll open
Lovely.
our doors there. That wasn't too bad, was it?
Yep, perfect. Right next to the building. Yep, this is the little HH600.
Look at that. Yeah, that is a lovely looking little. It's like, I'm guessing it's a switcher.
That's the little switcher. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at that.
Built in 1940, 41, something like that.
There's another one shunting away. Let's have a look over this side. There we go. Another passenger train there. And also the interesting thing is, I've just realised you've got different. Look at these. Look. That's really cool.
Beautiful old oil lamps.
Yes, and then you've got the semaphores as well, which I don't think has been seen much, sort of in Train Simulator for on the American side. I don't think there's been many semaphore signals, has there?
Yeah, I think they're pretty rare.
And also they're slightly different to British semaphores because they've got sort of almost a three aspect, haven't they? They've got green, amber, and red, haven't they? As well.
Yep. Yep. Up to 3 blades, and each one has 3 lights, 3 aspects.
Yeah. Was the semaphore something you worked on yourself, or?
Those were built by Rick.
Oh, built by Rick. Yeah.
All of the signals were, and all the switch stands, and most of the line side detailing.
Yeah, I must admit, at night, it must be an interesting route to drive at night as well, because you've got all the different styles of signals and colours. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very colorful.
Yeah.
The signal visibility should also be quite okay. So if you, I don't know how far exactly, something like up to a kilometer away or something like that, that you can see them.
Yes. Yeah. All right. We'll go to West Roran, and then we'll have a look at we'll have a look at Boston then.
All right.
Go. Keep carrying on here. So this is the yard here. Look at this.
Mm-hmm. The switching yard in Boston, in Palmer, sorry.
Almond, yeah.
There we have some cabooses.
Yes, as well. There you go. Yeah, and you've got a very nice mixed array of wagons that you can and cars you can move around, can't you? Freight cars, yeah.
Yeah, we tried to supply something for every type of industry that we have.
Yeah.
So there were quite a lot of different cars that we needed to cater for all the various industries.
Yeah. Yeah. And how many different types of cabooses are there? Is there quite a few, or are they just one?
There's two. There's the bay window caboose, which you just saw. This is our New York Central caboose.
Yeah.
And then we have one for the New Haven Railroad, which we borrowed from the Springfield Line DLC.
Keeping an eye on my speed. And I didn't realise it's not a. It's got 6 axles per bogie rather than, or 6 wheels per bogie rather than the 4.
Yeah.
So it's quite a larger locomotive.
The PA has 6 axles. The FA, the freight version, has 4 axles.
Ah, okay. So that's how you can tell are they the same shape? I'm guessing the same shape.
Yeah,
body.
sort of. The FA is a bit more, let's say, chubby. It has a shorter nose, and
Yeah.
it's generally shorter. The PA is like the elegant big sister.
That's fantastic. Driving along nicely here. But I can see what you mean by very lush and green. It's very, very forestry around here.
Mm-hmm.
Foresty.
Yeah, and basically it stays like that until you get to Boston. I think the biggest open spaces are probably the big lakes around the Framingham area on the east part of the road. This field that you can see here is probably one of the biggest.
Go. Some more power down. Flat no here. Nice cruising along now. Got nice little river bridges as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there are many of them. One thing that we do not have a lot of are grade crossings. So if you're
Something I noticed, yeah.
I think I don't think you haven't had a single chance to blow the whistle once. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe there was one outside of Palmer, but yeah, there are a few grade crossings, but I think it's probably single digit along the whole 100 miles that you get the chance to blow the horn.
Yeah, yeah.
The rest is bridges and underpasses.
That's amazing. Go. So we're now coming up to our next station. So we'll fly over to the next station. Now, some of them are just, oh, there you go. Literally, some of them are just little huts, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this might be the smallest station.
Yeah.
Nice. Make some smoke for the camera.
Yeah. There we go. So what other routes have you worked on in the past?
Mm. Recently, the B&O Mountain subdivision.
Yeah.
That was the last big project, and before that, the Hanover subdivision, Montana High Line,
Yes. Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
um, the Springfield line,
Yeah.
and a few others. Yeah, I really enjoy dabbling in the route editor.
Yes. Yeah. Nearly there. Climbing up again.
Yeah, there, yep. Climbing another hill.
Yep. Once we get to only 2 miles away now from West Rowan. No, it does work that button. That's fine. It's one of those cabs that you press all the buttons and you think, oh, what does that one do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's quite a lot you can do in here, especially with the brakes.
Yeah.
You can set quite a few things. You can change the rotor valve. You can um, yeah, it's underneath the speedo.
Oh, okay, there you
But
go.
I think most of these things are probably best set before taking off.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big chapter in the manual for those that are interested in getting the most out of the brakes. It's explained in pretty in-depth detail, I think. How to operate the brakes, what you can, the things you can change and select and adjust, and also generally how to handle them, how to use them.
Yeah.
It's a bit different than what you may be used to from the default brakes.
Yeah, they're quite interesting brakes. I must admit, they are different to other
Yeah,
brake systems. Yeah.
yeah. I'll admit it takes some getting used to, especially if you're operating along heavy trains. But for me, there's no going back.
Yeah.
Now that I've gotten to know them, I've sampled them, and yeah,
It's a crossing.
yay! One of few.
Yeah. So, braking on again. And Sean whistling all the whistle balls.
Yeah, this is a very representative town for the many small places you find along the line.
Yes.
Just a few tracks, some small industries. One of the, I think, quite beautiful little depot buildings.
Yeah.
Most of them were designed by famous architect Richardson or his successors at the firm. So that's why they all look, or most of them look quite similar.
Yeah. Wow. Now cruising into here. Just got a little bit more power. There we go. Open the doors. There we go. Also, is there a passenger view as well? Or can you have a look at them?
There is one, but only in the lightweight coaches.
Okay.
But all of them all of the light rails have one. Can take a nap in the sleeper, sit down in the coach car.
There we go. Yeah, the very nice Pullman coaches. Yeah, yeah. I think if you turned up to this, you'd be pretty pleased. I think.
Mm.
Yeah. So there we go. So this is this is the sort of the part where we're going to go to for this scenario. This goes on for one other stop. But what we're going to do is we're now going to just run a quick drive so we can show you the other end of the line at Boston. So we'll be back in just a minute. And we're back, and we are at Boston South. So here we go, and look at this. This is a big station. Look at this.
Mm.
There we go. Look at the size of the yard.
Yep. We've got quite a few passenger platforms. The big white building that you briefly saw, yeah, this one.
Yeah.
This is the US Mail post office.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Yeah.
Basically, when the South Station was originally built, those were also platform tracks.
Yeah.
But by the 1950s, they didn't need them anymore, so they put the post office above them and converted the tracks to mail handling platforms. South Station is served both by the Boston and Albany and by the New Haven Railroad.
Yeah.
This is the end of the shoreline from New York and New Haven.
I'm just turning on some lights and everything, make sure we've all got this all sorted. It's quite an interesting cab, this. Look at that.
You can see how old it is, right?
It does, yes. It almost feels like a steam
locomotive.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Oh, it's even got a little chimney. Look at that. Look, you know. Or funnel, as they say, whichever. Right. Let's get these two heading off.
The same station that you might be familiar with from the Boston Road in Transcend World. Only
right.
that this is the original version. They completely rebuilt everything, the old tracks and everything, a few decades ago, I think.
Yeah.
And so now there are much fewer tracks, but also much longer platforms.
Ah, right.
That was one of the problems of the original station, that if you have a one of the long distance trains, let's say, I don't know, 12, 14 coaches, it just doesn't fit on the platform.
It's quite interesting as well, you got these little platforms for the box cars as well, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, this is the express building.
Yeah.
For all the express cargo. This area to our right originally used to be even bigger, but half of it had to go to make way for the highway that we will, or the road bridge that we will soon be crossing under.
Yeah. We've got a train waiting for us as well. Not release the independent brake, but there you go. That's alright.
Yep.
That's fine. Don't panic. We are still moving, so it's
We have enough current to keep going anyway.
Yep. Someone in the workshops will be telling me off when I take the locos back. That's fine.
They'll just deduct the brake shoes from your wage. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So yeah, the New Haven Railroad is now to our left, across the other side of the channel.
Okay.
And we're now in the... This is the tracks that you can also run on in the Transcend World, just that there were a few more of them back in our period. The two tracks we are on are the Boston and Albany, and the others are the New Haven Railroad, which is the main line to Providence. So we will soon be coming to Back Bay Station.
highway you were talking about on the side there.
Hmm. Yeah, this was still very new back in the time when our road is set.
Yeah.
There were 2 more tracks before it was built here, and a few buildings that all had to make way. Also, if you raise the camera a little bit above street level, you can see the skyline stretches quite far away.
Like that.
Yep.
There's quite a few different buildings.
Mm-hmm. So this above, ahead of us, above the tracks, that's Back Bay Station.
Yeah, that's quite a modern station for its time, having the building sort of on the top and you know, all platforms underneath.
Yeah, you're right. So these here are our platforms.
And the time period where you had to cross the tracks to get onto the main platform.
Yep.
Caboose on the back as well.
Yeah, those middle platforms were usually just some compact dirt or gravel.
Yes, yeah.
Yep, and now we're under the future, so to say. Above us, the Prudential Center and the beginning of the high-rise boom in Boston. I believe this was the first one. And nowadays, quite a bit more of the tracks is essentially have been built over with high-rises and big complexes.
Yeah.
So, yep, this is a glance at the future. Back in the 60s.
Yes, because I'm guessing a lot of the construction at the time was all very new, you know. Yeah.
Somewhere around here were also was a big coach yard of the Boston Albany and another big freight yard. And they also had to give way for building projects and the turnpike, the highway.
Nice little rake there as well.
Sorry.
We've got a nice little set of cars there with the 2 locos as well. Junction here. Okay.
This is the beginning of the Newton Highlands branch. This is a part of the route which exists as tracks, but it hasn't been developed with scenery.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we were faced with the decision whether to remove the tracks to hide that it isn't finished, or to leave the tracks in place in case somebody is interested.
Yeah.
So we opted for the second option. Essentially, we had two reasons to not include the scenery around there. One was a performance consideration.
Yeah.
The whole Boston area, it stretches on for several miles of quite intensive scenery, and we were afraid that adding more tiles next to it might cause issues.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
That was one reason, and the other reason is that, admittedly, we also ran a bit out of steam.
Or you could say diesel oil.
Yep. Yep. But yeah, by the time our route is set, most of the Highlands branch, or all of the Highlands branch, was already converted to the MBTA Green Line.
Okay.
Which is still running there today. So it's now a streetcar system.
Yeah.
Or metro, however you want to call it. Originally it was Boston and Albany, um, and normal trains were running there.
Yeah. That's a big set. Sleepers.
Yep. Yeah, this is University Station. Right next to us is, or somewhere around here, is Boston University. Close to us, or maybe we've already passed it, is also famous Fenway Park baseball stadium.
There's the tramway as well.
Yep. Oh, that's part of the MBTA. Then right to our right and behind us is the Grand Junction Bridge and the Grand Junction Branch. This is Beacon Park Yard, which is basically the east end of the freight operations.
Okay.
And what you see here is essentially only half of the original yard, because to the north of it is the big highway.
Yeah.
And in its place before, there was a twin roundhouse and a huge maintenance yard and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's all gone.
It's quite an interesting situation because it's like it's an interesting depiction of like how things were starting to change, you know, in America at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Although I didn't realise we were going this way.
Yeah, there was a slow clear, but never mind.
No, I didn't spot that one.
It's only quick drive.
As long as the cars don't come off, we'll be okay. Speed up now. That's why you're looking at the scenery and not concentrating on your driving. There you go. We're off again.
Yep, we can speed up again, and I think we can stay definitely above 30 for quite a while.
Yeah. We're nearly at Newtonville, and then we'll finish the video there.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, now we've left downtown behind.
Yeah.
Now on the camera to our left, quite a bit, well, basically at the end of how far you can see, somewhere back there is Harvard University.
Yeah.
Basically on the north side of the big yard.
Okay. So all the famous universities are all around here.
It's
Yeah.
all happening in Boston. Yeah, this stretch, now that we're coming into the, let's say, suburban part of town, we have many of these depots. Quite a few of them stretch less than a mile apart, so if you're into really, well, let's say hardcore start-stop commuter trains,
Yeah.
this is where you can have it.
Yeah. So I'll switch it.
We have two scenarios that are with the RS3 that in my when I was running them, they really kept me on the toe. You really have to go hard on the throttle out of the stations and brake hard and late when you come to the next, otherwise you will not keep the timetable.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that would be a good fun challenge for people to have a go at.
Yeah.
Lucky pressing all the buttons. Yeah, there's quite a lot to do. Oh, you can open the windows there. And now 2 miles away.
Yeah, the line is quad tracked, basically from the big yard in Boston to Framingham, and the two lines that are now on the right side. So those are the commuter tracks, and the lines we are on are for freight and long distance passenger.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why the train that was coming against in the other direction
Yeah.
was on the middle track there.
Yeah, so you got an up and down on each
Yep.
section, basically. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so this is also with the signals. When we're coming up to the next signal, you see that they're to the right of the 4 tracks.
Yeah.
But so basically the 2 signals are for the first and the third track.
Yeah. There you go. You can see it.
Okay, this is a yeah, of course, this is a bad example. Now we have a signal gantry, and
There you go.
there are also instances where there's just a signal bracket all the way to the right of the tracks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, basically for the first, let's say, half hour of driving,
Yeah.
you never leave the residential areas of Greater Boston. It's basically house after house.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get to more like the old town centers, like this one here at Newton.
Yeah.
And in between you have all the suburban sprawl of the time. So the first time you get to see proper forests when you come out of Boston, it takes about, let's say, 30-45 minutes of driving.
Ah, so it's quite a way, quite a distance then. Yeah. Here we go. Cruising along here. Do a nice couple of shots. The train going past. We've got Newtonville now coming into view. Got nice different loadings as well on this brake. You know, you got an empty on one as well. Right, let's put our brakes into service. Make sure we actually slow down. We cruise along here. There's another switcher.
Yep. Supermarket, if you want to hop out quickly, buy some groceries.
Yeah, and I like you got all the different American cars as well of the time period as well.
One of the many missed opportunities for a great crossing and a whistleboard.
Yes, yeah. Here's the station we're now pulling into. Look at the station building on that. That's very...
Yep.
They certainly made the station buildings quite big, didn't they, as well?
Hmm.
You know.
Quite big and quite representative, like fancy brick architecture.
Yeah,
Especially if you compare it with more railroads from, let's say, Montana or somewhere
yeah,
somewhere out west. Many of them just had basically wooden shacks at their posts.
yeah, yeah. And it's quite interesting as well. You got the fence down the middle, so you knew exactly what side. You know, so you got the commuter and the long distance on this side. You know.
Yeah, this is, I think, the only stop for the long distance trains between the South Station and Framingham. The rest is only served by the commuter trains.
Ah. Let's do a nice stop here, and then we'll finish the video here.
Alright.
Once we've stopped, I'll turn the cameras back on.
And we're stopped.
There we go. We've made it. There we are.
We brought our trash to Newtonville.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
We're just picking up some more. There we go.
Yeah, we
Right.
we have one empty car at the end. Didn't you tell
Yes.
me? Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. So here's our cameras back on. So this is Boston Albany. I'll be out very, very soon. And got a lot to look forward to. It's a very different route, a very nice time period, and you can see the sort of different locomotives and rolling stock you can get with the route. So yeah, a lot to look forward to. Thanks, Michael, for showing us around and telling us about the route. I'm sure you're looking forward for everybody to have a go with the route.
Oh yeah.
So,
Thanks for having me.
no worries, you're welcome. So we'll see you all very soon in our next stream or video, and it's bye from me.
And bye from me.
Yeah, lovely. And we'll see you all very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.